Now in this video we're going to make probably one of the most requested videos in recent times on this channel, and we're going to make a 4G biquad antenna. So we're interested in those 4G frequencies around 1.9, 1.8 gigahertz to 2.2 gigahertz, 2.3 gigahertz, and then again at 2.7 gigahertz. So we've got a bit of a job on our hands to create a biquad in a small package like this one that can be resonant at all those frequencies. Now typically what I've shown in the past is if you can build your antenna with thicker material, you can add more bandwidth to the antenna. And of course a biquad is pretty broadband as it stands. I mean a typical 2.4 gigahertz one will work from 2.3 gigahertz up to just about 2.5 gigahertz. So you've got a 1 gigahertz span typically with a well-made biquad. This is one that I built while I was testing this. Again, I'm going with thicker material to create that bandwidth. It did work, but it wasn't as precise in all those frequencies that I did like. So I've changed something with this one, and eagle-eye viewers may be able to notice what I've done with this one. Now when constructing this biquad for the 4G, I've used two different wavelengths. We've got a longer wavelength here and a longer wavelength here, and we've got 34 millimeters here with this wavelength. This wavelength and this wavelength is a little bit shorter, and that comes out at 30 millimeters. So I'm trying to span the actual span that we're trying to encompass with the 4G there, using two different wavelengths when constructing this biquad. And I have to say it works really well. And I'll say at the moment on camera I have not found a great deal of information, in fact none at all, where anybody has tried this before. But in one of my previous videos Dave has left a comment talking about the, I think it's called the rhombus antenna or something along those lines. I'll put a thing up on the screen here, and that kind of works in a similar way, using two different wavelengths to construct that particular antenna. So as I say, I can't find any information about using the two wavelengths, but that does not mean to say that nobody has tried this in the past. It's very rare, especially in antennas, that you come across something that nobody has ever looked at before, let's say. Now as for the reflector on this, I'm building this particular biquad to be used with a satellite dish, so we want a small reflector. We don't want this reflector blocking too much of the RF coming into the dish. Now some of you may ask why I didn't, let me find it, why I didn't bend the sides up like I did in this one that we did for 2.4 gigahertz. And the reason is because this is a new design to me. I've never done this particular method of design before, so I didn't want anything to interfere with this. I wanted to make sure that this works before I start experimenting with tilting up the sides, or possibly even adding some brass tubing onto these elements to get even more coverage. So I just wanted to make it nice and simple to start off with. Now normally I wouldn't create a template for a biquad because all the information you need is included in the video, but I've done this one specifically because the hole for the back reflector isn't dead in the center here on the back reflector. I'm using an N-type connector for this, so the hole has a larger diameter. It's kind of off skew width a little bit, so to make it easy for you to build, if you want to cut out one of these and stick it on your aluminium, then cut your square out to this and then drill your hole just there, because it's not quite in the center there, because we've got the different wavelengths going on. I've also got the wavelengths here, the measurements, as you can see, and here's the frequency that it does work at: 1800 megahertz to 2300, 2600 megahertz to 2700 megahertz. So it's a pretty impressive broadband little biquad, really, to say we're still using relatively thin material, 1.6 millimeter brass brazing rod here. As I say, we can build on this, do some experiments with it and fiddle around with it and try to get it working even better, but I'm going to show you how to build this simple one first, because this does work really well. Now first of all, we're going to make the element first. I've got my favourite needle nose pliers here, nice flat surface to butt up against. I've got the brass brazing rod, 1.6 millimeters in diameter, and I've got a measuring tool here that I've made out of some PCB material. It measures 30 millimeters across there and 34 millimeters across there. So I'm going to make the elements in two separate pieces rather than one continuous piece. So I'm going to get my measuring tool first. I'm going to leave myself a little bit extra here just so I can trim it off when we've finished. Butt my needle nose pliers up like so. Maybe leave a little bit more about there, and then put a right angle bend in like so. So I've got my 30 millimeter wavelength there, so now I'm going to swap over to the 34 millimeter wavelength, and again using my measuring tool, needle nose pliers, just butt up against there and put a right angle bend in. I've shown this measuring tool in previous Biquad builds. It just makes things so much easier just to take 5 minutes out just to make one of these. And you can keep them as well. I mean, I say that, but I'm forever losing them. It'd be nice if somebody's got a laser printer, laser cutters, sorry, and make a few of these out of perspex, put them on key rings. You could probably sell them as little measuring tools for making biquads, but yeah, that's an idea. So again, 30 millimeter wavelength measurement. Like so. Now we get the 34 millimeter wavelength measurement, and we just need to trim that off just there. Again, putting my cutters up against my measuring tool, and then just trim, and then I can go in and then because this one's just a little bit too long, use my measuring tool, trim that down, square everything up. So I just need to make one more element. Now that I've got the elements made up, I'm now going to drill the hole for the N-type connector here. This is the one that I'm using in the aluminium reflector. This aluminium is 1 millimeter thick. You can use thicker if you want to, but the hole's a bit big. It's 16 millimeters. You can use SMA if you want to, but it's just that N-type connectors tend to use these when they're using an outdoor setup. They're just a little bit more robust, and you can waterproof them a lot easier as well. So now I'm ready to start assembling the antenna, and I'm using this particular type of N connector here, but it's nice and simple. You just drill a hole and you can attach it in place with the locking nut, whereas the bulkhead ones with the 4 holes, you have to think about then attaching it with some screws or nuts, but these are much more simpler. So that's going to go through there like that. Now, because this is aluminium, I can't solder onto it, so what I've done is I've made myself this little tab out of some copper here, and this 0.5 millimeter copper, I've just cut it out with some scissors and shaped it with a Dremel, and that can go over the top there, and we can lock it down with the nut, and we can bend this up then, cut away any excess, and use that to solder onto. So here's a look at what I've done so far. You can see this tab and how I've bent it, bringing it pretty close to the center here. I've got a piece of the wire, the same brass wire that we've made the elements out of, and I'll be trimming excess away on both of these. Basically, I want to mount the elements 15 millimeters away from the back reflector, which is just about here. So I'm going to tin up around here, tin up on this, and cut away the excess, and then we can go and mount the elements to it. But that's what I've done there. I like to solder this leg on here first, because that then holds everything in place, so I can just manipulate the second one here with one hand and get that soldered in place, and I can always go in and tidy and straighten everything up at the end when I've got all the elements soldered in place. So now I've got my elements soldered in place and I'm happy with them. They're nice and straight. I'm going to tidy up just here and here where I've cut off any excess with the Dremel. But what I want to do now is glue this ring on the back here. I'm going to epoxy it in place because I want to connect these up to a satellite dish, and I want two of them so we can have some MIMO action going on, and this ring will allow me to connect it to this double LMB arm that I've got here. Now this double LMB arm is not the one I ordered, it's one I had to modify. They sent me the wrong one, but the seller was nice enough, and the original one that I wanted was £22. This one he also sold for £11, so he gave me you know, a refund on the difference there, but I've modified it to fit on the end of this arm here for my satellite dish. But yeah, putting a ring on there is going to allow me to have two of these connected to the one satellite dish, so we can get some MIMO going on with the 4G, similar to what I did with the 2.4 gigahertz one, although I think I said in the video I made this too long. It could be a lot shorter, so that's what we're going to do with these, a lot shorter. And of course we can also get in there and connect up with some coax there, because if it was too long we wouldn't be able to get his fingers in, but it's just enough to grip hold on here. So here are the two finished antennas fitted to the dual LNB. Now I'm going to take these over to give them a quick test, but we're also going to do a speed test on these as well. I've got a 4G router we can connect up to and compare it between an omnidirectional antenna and compare what a small satellite dish could do. Now as far as my satellite dish is concerned, it's a little bit too small to use with these two antennas, I think. I've got one of the smaller sky dishes in here. I think it's 40 centimetre, I'm not sure, but the bigger ones, I think they're 60 centimetres. It would fit one of the bigger ones a lot better than it fits my small one, but we should still get some interesting results with my small dish. So here we are on the test bench then, and I did want to show you both antennas at the same time with two tracers on my network analyzer, but the only RF combiner I've got is this cheap one here from China. It's not really balanced and it wasn't showing a true image on the network analyzer. I tried to make one myself with these connectors, but again it's unbalanced, so it wasn't giving us a true reading. So a new combiner is something I've got to get hold of. But here we are looking at one of the antennas, and I've made them pretty close to each other, so you know they are virtually identical. I mean, I've played around with both of these, swapping the sensor around from one to the other, and they are virtually identical. But let's take a look at the output on the network analyzer to see what we've created. Here we are on the network analyzer then, and I'm scanning from 1700 megahertz here all the way up to 3 gigahertz, just under 3 gigahertz over here, and we've got these nice series of 3 dips, as you can see here, with the main one just here. If I get the cursor, then we'll move the cursor along, we can see 2.2 gigahertz there, really nice, all the way up to 2 gigahertz there. Bring it along this way here, and we're at 2.4 gigahertz there. That's when it starts to go out of band a little bit, and then it comes back in for those higher frequencies, 2.6 gigahertz there, and we can go all the way down this end, and we're at 1.8, 1.7 gigahertz there. So it's nice for a nice first build, I must admit. I would like to see a little bit more of a dip in the response in this area here, possibly in this area here. We've got our best response in this area here, which is basically where we've kind of aimed for with the measurements. But yeah, as a first build, I think this has got potential, and even as it stands now, it's much better than a lot of the ones you can buy on online at the moment, and it'd suit your needs, really would, for 4G. Nice response, but I think in a future build we can do better, especially in this area here, possibly this area, maybe even make this come down a little bit more. But yeah, it's looking nice. So I think the next thing to do with these is hook it up to a satellite dish and give it a speed test. I've got a 4G router that I use for testing. It connects to EE, and EE is a pretty poor signal around here. But that's a good thing, so you can see what kind of improvements we get over the standard 4G router with its two omnidirectional antennas. And then we'll do a speed test with that first, and then a second speed test hooking it up to the satellite dish. So let's give that a go. Now I'm just coming to connect this up to the dish so we can give it a speed test, and some of you eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed that I put this on upside down, so I've just corrected that. So let's give the speed test a go then. I am using a 4G router, but I have 4G broadband with EE. It's not the best signal around here, I have to say, so let's give this a go with just the two antennas that come with the router, see what kind of speeds we get. So we're not getting very good, as you can see. Almost yet 7, so not the best, but it is typical around here with just a simple router. And we're getting almost 4 for upload, so yeah, you could probably use it to upload a short video to YouTube, but it's not very good. So now let's give it a go with the two biquads then. See what kind of speeds we get. It's creeping up. Got off to a bit of a slow start, but now we're in the 30s. It's a big improvement. 40s. And an upload speed of about 14, 15. So that's really nice. That's a better upload speed than my cable broadband, to be honest with you. My cable broadband is only about 8. So that's very nice. So as you saw in those speed tests, really is a big improvement over the antennas that come with my 4G router. And you know, I do get a bad connection here, a data connection over the EE network in my area, but you know, a simple modification like this and using an old satellite dish really can help improve the speed and the performance of your connection. And this is going to be something that's ongoing. There's a few ideas I can do with these to possibly improve them even further, some changes that I might make, but for a first build this certainly does do the job. I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed if you built one of these and hooked it up, and as you saw in the speed test, it really does improve things. But like everything that I build, there's always improvements that we can make, but for a first build I'm pretty happy with these. So any comments or questions, drop them below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you want to help support this channel on Patreon, the links are in the description. Also, if you've got any more in-depth questions, the Facebook group really is growing from strength to strength. It's a really friendly group of people over there. A link will be in the description also. And hopefully you'll join me on the next one.